mga mahal naming taga-subaybay na nakasama namin sa himpapawid sa nakalipas na 55 taon. Maraming salamat po at congratulations, Radyo Agila.
Mga bagong kaalaman sa siyensya at teknolohiya. Alamin sa programang Pinoy Scientist. Tuwing linggo, alas 5 ng hapon hanggang alas 6 ng gabi. Pinoy Scientist. KBP Best Science and Technology Radio Program. Pinoy Scientist. Dito sa Radyo Agila.
Hapon po sa lahat ng mga tagapakinig ng Radyo Agila. Ako po ang inyong friendly Pinoy Scientist, Dr. Custer. At kayo po ngayon ay nakikinig sa ikawalong kabanata po ng Pinoy Scientist Art Science Radio dito sa Radyo Agila. At napapakinggan niyo po ang mga kakaibang storya ng tambalan po ng agham, teknolohiya, inobasyon, kultura at sining. Sinusuportan din po ng Pinoy Scientist ang pagsulong ng STEAM education o ang Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics. Ngayon po, ipapakilala ko po ang aking co-host dito sa Art Science Radio. Nag-flash na po siya. Si Dr. Corinne ROMABILES, ang ating art science expert ng Asian Institute of Management, and you're also affiliated with University of Asia and Pacific. Is that correct, Dr. Corinne?
Yes. Custer, Dr. Custer, how are you? So, again, a new episode for us this month. And I was telling Custer, malapit na magpasko, pero nandito pa rin kami. August na po ngayon, ano? And tama po, marami na po kaming mga connections ngayon among the schools that we have. So, at the AIM, at now in the UANP. And today we have a special guest from the UANP. Diba, Custer?
Yes, of course, palapit ng holiday season. It's already August. So, medyo nakawalong episode na tayo, Dr. Corinne. And we are gonna have a fascinating discussion this afternoon. Kasi ang episode natin ngayon ay pinamagatang IT or Information Technology and Philippine Development, Musings on Innovation and Imagination. At pag-uusapan natin dito kung paano naglalaro ang teknolohiyang impormasyon or IT para sa pag-unlad at pagprogreso ng ating bayan. At iugnay natin to sa larangan ng arts and innovation. At nakikita na natin ngayon si Dr. or si malapit na
Malapit
si Dr. CHIPI BUENAFE of, let's claim it, okay? University of Asia and the Pacific.
Well, thank you very much, Dr.
Basta ka
Custer,
muna,
Dr.
CHIPI.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Doc Custer, Doc Corinne. Thank you for having me. And isang magandang hapon sa mga nakikinig sa Radyo Agila, particularly dito sa show ninyo na Pinoy Scientist. So thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Salamat, CHIPI. So we'll call you CHIPI muna.
No problem. Yes, okay lang po yan.
Okay. At apparently, Dr. Corinne, kaibigan din pala niya si Dr. Guido David, isa din co-host ng Pinoy Scientist. In any case, Dr. Corinne, ano bang ini-expect natin sa hapon na ito na pag-uusapan natin or direction ng ating discussion?
Oo, tama. Yeah, because for quite a while now, I've been talking to CHIPI about the developments in the information technology industry in the Philippines. No? So I actually came across CHIPI in one of those online conferences on upskilling in the IT area and computing specializations here in the Philippines. And he has a lot to share with us regarding this and what they've been doing as a relatively new department in UANP, and how they're incorporating also values and the humanities and creativity
Wow.
in their in the way they teach these our future professionals in the IT area. No? So si Chippy, marami rin siyang kalaman dahil galing din siya sa Philippine Science High School. Ayan, promoting po Philippine Science High School.
Okay, thank
Chipi,
you, thank
anong
you.
batch ka?
Yeah, for everyone's appreciation from batch 1997, no, main campus. So,
Wait,
so
I'm sorry,
I
1997? So
yes,
mas,
correct.
oh my gosh, ang tanda ko na.
Di pa naman, wala sa itsura po yan.
89, I'm batch 89. Anyway, Chippy, tayo magbe-break muna. But bago tayo mag-break, nais kong ba't pinapabati ni Dr. JD ang lahat po na dumalo sa Grand Alumni Homecoming ng San Antonio Elementary School sa San Pablo City, Laguna. Si Doc JD po ay nag-graduate doon ng elementarya. And I'd like to greet si Sir Hercules Calianta. Dati siyang Dean ng College of Human Kinetics ng University of the Philippines, Diliman. Birthday niya ngayon at ang ating kaibigan na si Miss Melfa Abelo na sa media ay maligayang kaarawan din. So samahan niyo kami mamaya at pag-usapan natin ang napaka-interesting na very hot field of information technology and how it converges with art and science towards the development of Philippine economy. Ang oras po natin ngayon ay 13 minuto makalipas ang 5 ng hapon, Philippine Standard Time. Magbabalik po ang Pinoy Scientist.
EBC, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. Ito ang Radyo Agila.
Biogenic alcohol shares the excitement and pride of the whole nation in hailing the athletes of the Palarong Pambansa 2023 Marikina. Biogenic alcohol helps stay protected with Biogenic, the official rubbing alcohol of the Palarong Pambansa 2023 Marikina.
Sa dami ng iba't ibang uri ng sakit sa ngayon, dumarami din ang mga gamot na nagsusulputan. Pero alam ba ninyo na ang tinatawag na natural way of healing para sa iba't ibang sakit? Kung ano ito, alamin sa programang Basta Natural. Basta Natural mapapakinggan Lunes hanggang Biyernes ng alas 7 ng gabi at Sabado ng alas 2:30 hanggang alas 4 ng hapon. Dito sa Radyo Agila.
Tayo po ay nagbabalik sa Pinoy Scientist Arts Science Radio dito po sa Radyo Agila. Ako po si Dr. CUSTER, ang inyong friendly neighborhood Pinoy Scientist. At sa mga ka-tune in pa lamang sa Pinoy Science, ang Pinoy Scientist po ay nagsasahim papawid tuwing ikatlong linggo ng buwan ng paksang Art Science o Agham Arte. Ito po ang makabagong katagang Art Science or ang tambalan po ng agham, teknolohiya, inobasyon, kultura at sining. Sa araw na ito ay ihahandog natin ang episode ng ITN, Philippine Development Musings on Innovation and Imagination. But before that, I'd like to say thank you. I'd like to say hello sa aking mga naging groupmates ng Silag Tala team. We competed sa International Innovation Olympics in Brazil.
Wow.
And we represented the Philippines and we landed top 2. So
Wow.
second, kalaban po namin ang MIT, University of Oxford at iba't ibang top universities sa buong mundo. And we developed the green hydrogen economy business case for Brazil. Ayan. Dr. Corinne, baka pwede mong ipakilala ang ating guest muli sa mga katutunin pa lamang.
Okay, sige. So, very quickly, I'd like to introduce to you my, presently my the head of our department in UANP, si Sir Chipi. Tawagin na lang natin siyang si Sir Chipi BUENAFE. So, he heads the Information Science and Technology Department of UANP. He for quite a while he's been there. He's one of the haligi of that department. And as sinabi ko na kanina, he graduated from Philippine Science High School in Quezon City. But perhaps, Chippy, I'd like to invite you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, no, and how you think you could help us in this topic that we have today, no, musings and imagination and innovation in the IT area in the Philippines.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you and magandang hapon sa mga nakikinig sa show na to, no, Pinoy Scientist sa Radyo Agila. No? So I'm Chipi Buenafe, no? And nabanggit nga ni Doc Corinne na magkasama kami sa trabaho. No? I'm actually the chair of the Department of Information Science and Technology in University of Asia and the Pacific. No? I've been in that role for 8 years na halos. No? So, and bago ako nasa position ko ngayon in UANP, I was with industry. So for almost 15 years, I worked as an IT guy, no, for Hewlett Packard in various roles. Nagsimula ako sa infrastructure, architecture work, and then moving up year after year, doing research and development, and then eventually, ang sabi nga nila when it comes to sa mga technical people, I've gone to the dark side. No, I had to manage teams, so I become a manager myself, doing senior management work and with bigger clients also for Hewlett Packard.
Mhm.
No? And then on the side also, in spite of being in HP for quite some time, I've never lost touch when it comes to teaching. So I've also been teaching at UANP while I was in HP. I was also teaching in Mapua Institute of Technology for some time, as well as Ateneo Graduate Business School of Business. Okay, this time the intersection naman of IT and management. So I've been around, but now I've been doing full-time work sa UANP and pretty much doing IT. And well, yeah, I mean, yun naman yung naging background ko, and the intersection of art and science probably, it's probably more experiential. Baka pa nga pwede niyong sabihin na parang hobby lang yan perhaps sa side ko. Not, let's say, in
Mhm.
the case of Doc Corinne, who's probably more professionally attuned sa field na yun, no? But I guess because of my interest, even a little bit of my background in liberal education and the likes, no, I guess yung having that appreciation of art and science, yung intersection na yun, hindi siya naging mahirap, I suppose. And yet, in my line of work, no, in IT, we've seen a lot of circumstances kung saan talaga nag-interact, no? Hindi lang siya simple overlap, no? Talagang nagtutulungan bale yung art, yung science, no? In all of the applied circumstances of our world today. So sorry for a very very short intro about myself, but yeah,
I was shocked na you're taking up your PhD in economics, and
that's
then
right.
you're also teaching in the area of business doon sa Ateneo. You taught at Mapua. So, itong melding of different
Mm,
experiences, nakikita natin na ang being an IT person,
mhm,
paano mo na situate ang information technology here in the Philippines as a differentiating or a value-added factor para
mhm.
umasenso ang Pilipinas at maging renowned ang ating bayan sa area ng IT.
Okay, I guess yung naging experience ko, what I've seen, no, and medyo
Mhm.
unahan ko na kayo, no, this is just my personal experience. So, pwedeng hindi talaga to universally totoo, no. But what I've seen is that perhaps in the late 80s, early 90s, when you had computer science really thriving sa Philippines, ang pinaka-immediate na orientation when it comes to developing it is being very, very technical, right?
Yeah,
Um,
mm.
perhaps I was growing up, I had a father who was interested in computers. I learned how to do coding, programming at a very young age. So that was pretty much my life story. And yun yung pinaka-obvious na path na pwedeng gawin ng anybody, no, interested in IT, no, go technical. But then and then we've seen that naman, no, in our progress here in the Philippines. We've tried to be very very technical. Okay. But I guess yung we've seen cases also, no, lalo na sa ibang bansa like the US, wherein it's one thing to be technical, no, yung susundan mo talaga yung pathway na yan na sobra kang technical, no, talagang pag-aralan mo na yung
Mhm.
mga theories and all that, no, you really stretch that field. And yet you have a lot of case studies in the US wherein, and the more prominent ones would be like, for example, Steve Jobs, na hindi naman talaga siya super galing, no, he's not a brilliant technical person, right? And I'm
Oh,
sure
okay.
everybody would appreciate that for him. In fact, for those of
Mhm.
you who probably know his history, he has a very strong liberal education background. In fact, when he was doing his college studies, he was into calligraphy. So he was very, very
Mm.
particular with design, with all these things. And nakita niyo yun, no? In the early days of Apple in the 1980s, Steve Jobs, gusto niya talaga na yung idea of the computer, the personal computer, was something that was very consumer friendly, something that's attractive, something that could be really used. Unlike, of course, yung pinaka-logical naman yan, no? Kung gusto natin ng high-tech, gusto talaga natin yung
Mhm.
pinakamagaling, yung pinakamabilis, walang problema, di ba, and all that. But yeah, Steve Jobs, no? And he's just one of many possible technical people na not really technical but very attuned sa arts, no? Another more recent example, and I would probably recommend yung libro niya, no? Creativity Inc. So the author is
Mhm.
actually Ed Catmull, who is the CEO of Pixar. Now, for those of you who know Ed, no, and especially mga computer scientists dyan, Ed Catmull is actually a computer scientist. In fact, he was awarded the most prestigious award for computer scientists, I think a few years ago, no, for his work in breakthroughs sa computer animation. So that was his forte,
Mhm.
computer animation. But if you think about it, Kad Etmul is also a CEO. No, he had to bring movies like Toy Story to life. No, I mean, sino ba hindi pa nakakapanood ng Toy Story? No,
Pixar,
for
okay.
yeah, and that was the very very popular, very well done movie, and that's another example of somebody na talagang uh, found a way to really merge yung advantages ng art, no, and combining it with technology like computing or IT. Now, okay, medyo mahaba yung intro ko to the question, no? So how can the Philippines capitalize on this possibility? Well, looking at the two cases, no, Steve Jobs, Ed Catmull, and so many others, I think the very first way where uh, the Philippines can really thrive in promoting art and information technology and make ourselves prominent sa world stage is appreciating the fact that IT is a tool and
Mhm.
therefore it should solve a problem. Ganun lang kasimple, no? Tingnan natin ano ba talaga yung problema. Number one. Number two, okay, problema yan, masusolusyonan ba ng IT yan? And sometimes the
Okay.
solution, hindi naman talaga komplikado yung solution. It doesn't have to be so high-tech. And yeah, nakakatawa. It's in English, no? But there's this saying, no, na natutunan ko rin to when I was doing work in industry, no? A fool with a tool is still a fool. Diba? And IT is a tool, right? But without the proper discipline, without the proper understanding of everything else, no.
Mhm.
Sayang yung opportunity na meron kang
In
information
other
technology.
words, kailangan may empathy whenever you're working with a tool because tool is something is neutral and it's empathy, and empathy is you get empathy from being an artist because it's all about sensitivity. Dr. Corinne,
Yeah,
anong gusto mong itanong tungkol sa art science because we're now headed towards that direction.
yeah. Actually, while Chippy was talking, no, I thought about a number of things as related to Steve Jobs, Ed Catmull, and all that. Since in my classes in art science in AIM, there are a handful of IT and computing specialists there, and it seems to me that they're the last couple of guys who actually would tell me, anak, kuha na po namin. Ibig sabihin, it takes a while for really this left brain guys to, like get the hang of, um, the styles, or the ways of doing art, thinking about art. No, but I think the Filipinos, who said, they're naturally creative and they're very open, no, and they like entertainment and all that. And so I was thinking of seductive interaction design. No? I think Chippy
Ano? Seductive interaction design? Did
design,
I
yeah,
hear it right?
yeah. So it is
Okay.
seductive interaction design has to do with like user experience, user interface. So how do you
Uh-huh.
design what the customer, who's looking at the screen, how do you engage him, with the design that you have there, like the workings behind all these. Although I'm helping him in our department teach design thinking, among our students. Meron nag-echo ba ako? Nag-echo ba ako? Hindi. Okay. Kasi naririnig ko yung sarili ko eh.
Yes. Oo. I think you should, okay.
Naririnig ko yung sarili ko. Hang on. Ayan, ayan. Wala na. So, anyway, so while he was talking, yan. Bakit
Dr.
kaya
Corinne, parang may feedback ka. Siguro
sandali.
you need to
Hang on, hang on. Ayan, how's that?
Okay, better.
Wala na,
Better.
no?
Okay.
Ay! Meron pa rin. Sandali.
I think
Yeah. Maybe.
baka nasa booth nat. Ayan. O sige.
Ayan, ayan.
Good.
I think it's the boot. Ayan, okay. Nawala na. Yeah, anyway. Because I was going to mention, meron pang echo. Oo nga, no? Bakit kaya may echo siya? Anyway, can I type in what I'm gonna say first? And pakibasa.
Dr. Corinne, I think also the echo is all. I also have an echo. So meron tayong problem. Oo.
Si Chippy pa naman ang guest natin,
Chippy,
computing.
can you talk? Can you talk?
Hello.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Siguro mag-break muna tayo and
Yeah.
then we can ayusin muna yung ating echo problem.
That main booth. Okay, sige. Tama.
Okay,
So, we
sige.
can continue.
EBC, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. Ito ang Radyo Agila.
Save the date, August 30, 2023. May pagkakataon ka ng mapanood ang kauna-unahang pelikula mula sa Net25 Films, ang Monday First Screening.
Ano to, networking?
Monday first screening.
Pinagbibidahan ng mga batikang aktor, Ricky Davao
Ano ba manligaw ngayon, ha?
at Miss Gina Alahar.
Gusto mong ipamukha sa akin na hindi ako karapat-dapat na magkaroon ng kasama sa buhay.
Monday First Screening. Showing in 100 cinemas nationwide this August 30.
Handa ka na ba sa parating na bagyo, baha, lindol at iba pang uri ng sakuna? Huwag magpahuli. Alamin ang mangyayari. Maging alisto, maging alerto. Eagle Network. Subaybayan tuwing alas 10 hanggang alas 12 gabi-gabi. Kasama ang buong pwersa ng Radyo Agila Reporter, ang tunay na serbisyo publiko. Walang pahinga, walang pagod. Magbabantay, maglilingkod. Eagle Network.
Checkpoint 1062 sa presinto may takas. Pero sa checkpoint, walang alpas. Checkpoint 1062, mga balitang pumapagaspas. Sa checkpoint 1062, walang alpas. Tuwing linggo, alas 7 ng gabi. Dito lang sa Radyo Agila.
Pinoy Scientist, Art Science Radio ng Radyo Agila.
Meron pa rin, ano?
Meron pa rin tayong baka pwedeng pwedeng ma-turn off yung microphone ata sa studio?
Yeah.
Ayan, okay. So, ayan, wala yung ating echo.
Sige, baka kailangan lang naka-mute sa Google Meet yung tech booth name.
Okay, so
Hindi.
the tech booth main, baka pwede pong paki-mute. Okay, so we're having some technical problem.
Sino ba?
Okay, Dr. Corinne, what was your question kanina?
Wala na.
Yes,
Ayan,
nawala na.
Okay, sige. Okay, we're back, everyone. Sabi ko si Chippy baka yung may is our lucky charm kasi tech person. And actually, ito yung ginagawa niya, yung nagpa-troubleshoot. Okay, because like the other day, I saw in the TED Talks, no, I heard, maybe he can elaborate about how creativity can be incorporated in very technical areas, no, of the workplace. So ito, there, a certain Sanderson Oni said how targeted ads might just save your life. So he says, could the tech industry's complex algorithms support people during their darkest times rather than just deliver targeted ads in relation to empathy? Drawing from his own experience with depression, global mental health researcher Sanderson Oni shows how internet search behaviors can provide valuable insights into suicide risk and potentially help save lives by reaching people in a deeply personal way at a crucial moment. Because sometimes when people talk about art, immediately they relate it to, like the fine arts, doing painting and dancing and all that. But at times, art can also be very pragmatic. We don't always have to think of a painting, to maybe do something pragmatic, artistically. Kasi yung sinasabi nga ni Chippy kanina, perhaps it's in the way people think creatively in the IT and the computing specializations, no? In terms of solving big problems today, real world problems. So, can you tell us about the intersection of that, Chippy, yung creative thinking, no? In solving problems like the ones we have today, and related to what I said about algorithms being of help to those who want to commit suicide, for example.
Yeah. Actually, it's a good segue wherein you mentioned about the tech talk. I think it was only uploaded early this week, wherein the one who gave a speech, I wasn't sure whether naiwasan niya magpakamatay, no? So trigger
Oh, yeah,
warning
parang
for
ganon. Oo.
yeah, so trigger warning for those who are quite sensitive about these things. No? But the speaker was sharing how the targeted ads in social media helped him, I guess, in his own experience, try to fight against his depression. And yeah, and it was more of parang there was a way for him to try to reach out perhaps to someone. It may not be a live human being, perhaps it was just a bot, but at least there was enough distraction to avoid committing suicide. I mean, it's a great short TED talk. I mean, for those na be interested to hear it, would do so. But I think when we think about the intersection of art and IT, no, of course, we'd want kasi IT to solve problems, okay, first and foremost.
Mhm.
But when we think about art, I'm not so sure. Maybe Doc Corinne can correct me, no? Wala namang problem talagang gustong solusyonan yan agad-agad, right? When we think about aesthetics, when we think about beauty, right? Parang there's no practical problem to be solved in the first place, right? But it does try to answer life's very deep questions about life, about meaning, and all these things. And for somebody who's been suffering depression, I mean, malaking bagay talaga na that person, whoever he or she is, would try to find meaning in something. And that's where technology can also help, right? Trying to lay out elements, to try to assist a person like myself or anybody else to solve these bigger problems. Now, for example, let's take a bigger question about meaning in life. Like, it's not a practical problem na kailangan solusyonan, no? But somebody would be thinking about it, okay? Ba't ako nandito sa mundo? I mean, what am I doing here, right? Of course, technology, in a very simple way, for example, can provide options. No? So, um, right now, you have ChatGPT. You can probably ask ChatGPT, anong pwede kong gawin sa buhay ko ngayon? No? And ChatGPT will probably give you some answers, no? It will not solve your problem on what's your meaning here on earth, no? Ano yung purpose mo in life here, but it's a start, no? And so that's one aspect that we can look into, that the technology is assistive, no? It's supposed to help, but they're not the ones that will really solve that problem for you. Now, um, what are the other aspects to that? It's quite interesting because I think we can share to some degree that the University of Asia and the Pacific has a partnership with the National Center for Mental Health. No, and we were thinking initially, okay, are we going to solve psychiatric problems already through IT? Well, no. Sometimes it's just as basic as maraming tao na kailangan ng services ng NCMH. Mahaba ang pila. Is there something that can technology do that
Mhm.
can do, right? I mean, that's simple. And we looked into a lot of the theory as well, but we also looked at I guess this is where Corinne would be interested in, right? You design thinking, no? So coming up with a way on how we can help service the patients, and in an empathetic way, no, we try to use technology to actually address that, no, and help provide these services. So that's an example, no? And there could be many more. And I think it's good to point out yung idea ng empathy, no, because that's something
Mhm.
that even technology now, in the current researches, parang can artificial intelligence detect emotions, right? They can detect fluctuations of body chemistry, the chemicals, perhaps yung things like serotonin or dopamine and all these things. They can probably make those detections, but are you sure na nababasa nila na nagalit ka or natutuwa ka or baka lang pagod ka lang, 'di ba? I mean, we're not yet there, but that's where somebody with a good discipline in the humanities, no, aside from the arts, no, would play a big role in shaping society today, no. So
Chippy, you
yeah.
mentioned about ChatGPT. Actually, I gave a lecture about generative AI and the academia just a few days ago. And ang sinabi namin doon, it becomes an extension of our brain in a way. Kasi
Mhm.
parang, like myself, I always open ChatGPT every day and somehow it becomes my friend and I started feeling na may kausap ako na lagi ako merong nag-guide sa akin. So, okay, ang question ko ngayon is let's go to the platform of chat of generative AI.
Mhm.
Ano ang nakikita mong direction ngayon ng generative AI when it comes to affecting creativity and
Okay.
authenticity because that's now a very big issue in the academia. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts about it?
Wow. Yeah, very very interesting, and susubukan kong i-combine yung mga elements or at least opinions from different sectors and
Mhm.
try to come up with a very good starting point for that discussion, no. My first starting point was in the field of IT mismo, no. So parang we were thinking
Mm.
yung ChatGPT, kung sasabihin mo sa kanya, "Oh, gawa mo ako ng website." Makakagawa na ng website yon. So even for us in the teaching profession, paano yan? Are we still going to teach programming to our students? Eh, pwede na mag-ChatGPT ang mga yan. Di ba?
Or even
So
coding
now,
kasi meron na siyang
yeah,
features ngayon, yung plugins na
precisely, di
bago.
ba? Kaya na niya magbigay ng code. Of course, you just need to check. But then, I mean, a great majority of the time, very useful yung magiging output niyan. So the question is, okay, kailangan pa ba natin magturo ng coding sa mga estudyante ngayon? Well, okay, but long conversation, but the conclusion there is that and nasabi ko na to a while ago that AI should be assistive, no? It should help the human being as well, right? Something na when I was also reading yung naging explorations of a very good chess player by the name of Gary Kasparov, no? He
Mm.
was the first one to really, push
Tinalo
the envelope, 'di ba? When it comes to
IBM Blue,
human.
right? Is that the
Yes,
I
yes.
mm.
Yeah, so he was the first one who had the courage, a world champion at that time, to play chess with a computer at that time. It was sponsored by IBM and all that. But after his loss, to Deep Blue, back in the late 90s, I think, no, around that time, he devoted a lot of his future career in human-computer interaction, no? And yun din yung
Chippy,
conclusion niya. Hmm.
he was depressed for 10 years, remember that? Nakalagay
Correct,
sa
correct.
biography niya. Hindi niya matanggap na natalo siya ng computer. Kasi the
Yeah.
computer was able to predict more than 50 steps of his movements so
Mm.
that lahat ng kanyang strategy can be countered by IBM Deep Blue.
Yes, yes. And if you think about it, yung power nun Deep Blue at that time, when you compare it to the chess engines now, oh, I mean, the chess engines now are really, really, really powerful. I mean, many times better than how it was back then, no? But he delved a lot of effort in his future career, no, and when moved to the US, uh, looking at the human computer interaction, no? And his conclusion is the same, when it comes to calculation lang, the computer will
Mhm.
beat the human being 100% of the time. But if you have the human plus the computer involved in meeting a certain goal, then you can actually have a much superior outcome. So that's also his conclusion. Now, to the final point, no, I mean, it's a very rich topic, but there's a researcher by the name of Shuri Turkle, from MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. She was doing research on conversations, and one of the things na bring up niya in the research about conversations was that currently technology, I mean, people nowadays, no, especially those who've grown up with technology, they've been so dependent, so attached to their devices that they have trouble talking to themselves. So the ability to do reflection, to do introspection,
Mm.
they always need a device because the device serves as that sounding board, kumbaga, no, that mirror. Wherein, back in the old days, kaya naman natin mapag-isa, no? We can think with our own thoughts. Okay? And it is a skill that is perhaps, to her argument, nawawala na nowadays. No? The ability to reflect, the ability to think on our own, right? And she noticed a lot of classes wherein, you know, itong kwento. There was this law class, no?
Mhm.
Na nasira lang yung laptop, and then laptops were allowed in that class, in that law class, for example. Nasira lang yung laptop, that student couldn't do anything anymore. Ang reason niya, she couldn't take down notes. And then the
Oh,
professor
just
asked
like
him,
just like me. I cannot take down notes without a laptop.
and then the professor asked her, well,
Mm.
why don't you write it down? And that student was so befuddled. Sobrang di niya maintindihan. Write it down? Wow. I mean, but that was an eye opener wherein the generation nowadays have been too dependent on technology, wherein the skill of conversation, even conversing with ourselves, no, nawawala na. It's getting to become obsolete. I hope not, no? I mean, as
Chippy,
human beings, yeah.
I cannot understand my handwriting, okay? That's why that's why I cannot survive without a laptop. Anyway, Dr. Corinne, meron na lang tayong ilang minuto, 12 minutes. Maybe I'll give you the honor to ask the last question.
Yeah,
And then,
oo. Yeah, because nga sinabi ko na the first time I heard GP was in this conference and he was talking about yun, the future of IT also in the Philippines. So parang my question is, in the age of AI where yun, certain sensibilities or even this whole idea of, I don't know, maybe like creative thinking can also be dampened, no? Because perhaps all this automation, how can we be sure, or how can we secure IT development in the Philippines? It will be in the service of mankind, shall we say? From a Filipino from a Filipino perspective, no, parang how can our creatives be there, no, attuned with the rest of the world to contribute to the development of or the development of the Philippines and beyond? How can we be so sure that how do you predict or how are you projecting our IT
in
development?
in the world of generative AI, may DALL-E na, even visual arts.
Yeah.
Natatal
So
merong isang case na nanalo sa photography contest. Sinabi niya na it was generated by an AI. So that's a very interesting question, Sir
Mm.
Chippy. Oo.
Yeah. Well, if I there's so many elements to that question. No? But I guess if I were to pick out very quickly, no, in the interest of time, no, how can us, no, in the Philippines, really try to, I guess promote, no, all these things. No, I mean the confluence of IT and art. Um, well, we were talking about authenticity kanina, no? Yung being true to ourselves or nagpapakatotoo tayo, no, with our identity. And I think we'll start off with being authentic to our own Filipino identity, right? I think that's a start. Of course, marami tayong debate dyan, no? What does it mean to have a Filipino culture? Ano ba talaga ang Pilipino, di ba? Or are we going to revolve into yung regionalistic aspects, no? I mean, I'm more of this rather than that, Um, but I guess that's a starting point. I mean, you want to appreciate your own identity first as a Filipino, and what that means to you. Of course, that's the successive debates na, no? But that's a starting point. And I think um, it's different from yung concept of yung Pinoy pride, no? Wherever we see successes of Filipinos in the world stage, no? And it's easy for us to associate ourselves with them. That's probably a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that, diba? We celebrate the successes of others. it's more of now that we resonate with this person, no, in the world
Mm-mm.
stage, this winner, 'di ba? Paano naman tayo? What's the connection now? What's the Filipino-ness doon? No? I guess that's the question that we have to start thinking about ourselves, no, in that respect, no. Then I was saying earlier, no, the idea of reflection, no. I guess let's start with that. Maybe yung kung may homework tayo, no, sa mga nakikinig ngayon, no, maybe think about it. What is it to you, no? What does being Filipino mean to you? Is it just memorizing yung lupang hinirang, and or knowing back then nung lumalaki tayo, memoryado natin lahat ng cabinet secretaries, no, sa bawat agency, no, sa gobyerno, no. I mean, is that what it means to be Filipino? And then I guess lastly, no, yung that sensitivity of knowing that maybe it's not a big problem, but wanting to make a difference. Yun na lang. No? I
Yes,
wanna,
that's right.
yeah,
Oo.
wanting to make a difference, and you don't have to go far away. Perhaps wanting to make a difference, you want to start sa bahay, 'di ba? Sa mga kapitbahay ninyo, 'di ba? Even in your own barangay, no? Ano yung pwede niyong gawin, no? And sometimes the solution, maganda kung IT, no? I mean, relevant to our topic, but sometimes the solution need not be complicated, no? And we start with that, no? We start with the idea that okay, we see this problem, oh, this is so, uy, pwede natin gawa ng paraan to, 'di ba? Then may gagawin din tayo. And I guess that's where we can start there. And then eventually, hopefully, if we have a lot of people thinking along those lines, no, we will have our own stamp uh, as being innovative in the Filipino sense, if you will. No?
In the era of generative AI and high-tech supercomputing, Dr. Corinne, anong iyong last-minute synthesis on
Yeah.
this and some of your thoughts
Yeah.
on
So
the
at the
intersection of art science?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, sabi nga, in the age of automation, according to Daniel Pink, we have to foster high concept and high touch. No? High concept is that ability to be able to create new new ideas, original ideas to feed into the to AI, because AI is just really standing on the shoulders of giants. We're talking about ideas, thoughts, knowledge of civilizations of the past. So dapat, nga, there's also accountability, for example, in the automation,
Right, oo.
in the computing world. And I think that's acknowledged, no? That really the human being is behind all this genius. But sabi nga rin ni CHIPI at kanina, Custer, sinasabi na natin, no? The liberal arts, the arts gives us that high touch. Now, no matter what happens with the robots surrounding us, no, technology would have to shake hands with human beings. And the human being, according to them, in the fifth industrial revolution, the human being is the master of all of these new tools that we have. So without the human being who is who has a heart and a soul, all of this will not have meaning, as we were talking about it earlier. What are we here on earth
I
for?
agree with that, Dr. Corinne. And as you can see, we talked about Industrial Revolution 1, 2, 3, and 4. But when it comes to the fifth, they don't call it Industrial Revolution. We call it Society 5.0. Okay? Because it's already a clamor that we embrace our humanity amidst all this automation and supercomputing. And in that sense, I believe that generative AI, it's not gonna make us stupid. Well, it's up to us. It can be your choice as a student
Correct.
to cheat, to use it for your assignment, but it's also another way for us to focus on our critical thinking skills,
Correct.
have fun with
Mhm.
being intelligent, having all these gadgets and supercomputing right at the tip of our fingers, and to foster creativity, and most of all, to use it to enhance our culture and our Filipino-ness.
Correct.
So, with that, nais natin pasalamatan po ang ating guest, si Sir Chipi. Maraming salamat sa pagbigay ng
Sige.
very illuminating discussion on, well, AI and information technology. Thank you, Chippy.
Hey, thank
And
you, thank you.
nais natin din po pasalamatan si Nelson Luba na ating station manager, si Kuya Eric Arbite, Dr. Dexter Mahilom, ang ating assistant producer, at sa ngalan po ni Dr. J. Diagapito, ang ating makatang siyentista, Dr. Guido David, Professor Octa ng Pinoy Scientist, ako si Dr. Custer.
And this is Dr. Ian.
Magkita-kita na naman po tayo sa susunod na linggo. Dito lang po sa programa na kung saan ang sensya ay buhay. Thank
More
you.
power to you. More power to you, Chippy.
Thank you,
Hey,
Chippy.
thank you.
Salamat. Thank you, Custer.